Hi, Natalie Berry. How are you
Hey,
tonight?
Natalie.
I'm doing well. How are you all?
We're doing really great.
Good.
That's great. Thank you so much for having me on tonight.
Well, you know what? Thank you for taking the time out of your day to talk with us. And I guarantee you, we promise we're not going to keep you forever. But, you know, I'm going to gush a little bit. I love Natalie Berry. I think Natalie Berry is probably one of the best entertainers I've ever seen on stage. And she's fun to talk to. And let's see. Let me go down through some accolades for you. Let me see. And I'm trying not to embarrass anybody. Of course, you're on a radio program, so they can't see you blush, so we can talk.
Okay.
All right. Natalie Berry is an activist. Would that be a fair thing to say?
Sure.
She is an activist. She is a comedian. She is a singer. She's bilingual. I almost got that right on your Facebook page today.
You did a great job. Actually, it was my teacher.
Well, and you know, I knew it was a heater. So at least there's something related to it. So I think I got that part.
Yes.
But it was wonderful. I mean, it was so cool to see on Facebook. It's nice to be able to do that. Because, you know, we get so commonplace around here, we forget a lot of stuff. You have upcoming near the end of May, along with Pat Portman, a Pat and Patsy Show coming up, and that's going to be at Shepherdsville. What date is that?
That is May 27th, and the show starts at 3 p.m.
And that is a Sunday, is that right?
It's on a Sunday, yes.
And so 3 p.m., the Shepherdsville Country Music Show is located on Highway 44. It's about, 3.5 miles off of 65 going west. Just a stone's throw, really, from downtown Shepherdsville. It's on the left-hand side as you're driving out, so you want to drive kind of slowly and get the curve. And just pull in there and get your tickets in advance if you can, because that show will sell out real quick.
Well, we're not doing advance sales, so you want to come early. We're going to open the doors at 1 o'clock.
Okay.
And we're really encouraging people to come early and get a bite to eat, or just even leave a coat or something. Let us know you're going to be sitting there, and we'll save your seat. But we're not doing any ahead-of-time sales.
Oh, cool.
So try to come early, and there's a lot of people coming from all over.
So it's going to be on a first-come, first-served basis?
It is, yes.
And I like that. That gives you a whole lot better chance of getting one of the closer seats.
Right.
So, and of course, your little co-host or your co-partner, I should say, on this particular one, Pat Portman is the regular MC at Shepherdsville, and of course, Natalie, you're just one of the best people to come and listen to and sing, and you all are going to do a lot of wonderful Patsy Cline songs. Is that right?
Yes, we've got we've already started rehearsals for the show. And Patsy Cline's songs are, as you probably know, really short. They were made for a time when they were putting them on vinyl records. So we're doing 30 Patsy Cline songs. And Pat is doing about a half dozen herself, and we've got some duets planned. So it sounds like a lot of music, but you're going to be hearing a lot of short songs, and you're going to hear a lot of Patsy Cline songs. And probably songs that you didn't even know she recorded. Maybe songs that you had heard before, but you didn't know Patsy covered them. So it's really interesting, and we're going to tell some stories about her life. And I have some wonderful costume plans that are either the reproductions of things that she wore or they're period pieces that are like things she wore. So our goal is really to take you back and really get you intimate with Patsy and maybe open you up to some of the other things she did. She didn't just do country. She did some rock, and there's some gospel in there. And, you know, we even tried to work up a couple of the jazzier pieces that she did. People are surprised to hear how versatile she was. It wasn't just crazy and I fall to pieces and things like that. She did Shake, Rattle, and Roll and some other rock songs, and it's really a lot of fun.
And, of course, at the time that she was actually touring, she had probably the #1 show that was actually on tour in the whole country genre, and when especially she and Loretta Lynn toured together.
Right.
And
it's not surprising because when I think of Patsy, that's a country singer with some soul, and she really had a lot of soul in her voice, and you know, that was kind of new at that time, the country music. So I can see why she was so popular and such a versatile singer. I think people are really surprised at her versatility.
Well, and she had that wonderful outgoing charisma. And people said that she had a very strong spirit.
Yes.
And I don't know about the spirit, but I understood that she was a very direct person at times. And,
right. Well, when I'm getting into character for Patsy, I kind of get a little husky, Hoss. I kind of take it down a little bit and get a little husky with you. Sing some old country songs for you, like they did in Winchester, Virginia.
Oh man, I think that is so cool.
That sounds just like her, Sue.
You do. It sounds just like her. So
I got to ask Natalie, are you going to do 3 cigarettes in an ashtray?
I am going to do that one, yes. Yeah,
That's
can't leave that one out.
Now, do you agree with the assertion that has been made that Patsy Cline was a diva before the term was coined?
I think so, absolutely. Absolutely.
I saw all the Patsy Cline movies. I can't remember my favorite one. It focused a lot on our marriage to Charlie Dick, and she was quite a firecracker, and I could see where people think that.
Yes, and she didn't, the stories go that she would cuss and smoke with the best of them. And so, I don't think she had the cleanest of mouths. I think you could get her going with some swear words if you had to. And that gives me the impression that, although she was probably very friendly and outgoing and a loving person, she wouldn't take anything from you. And, she came into a man's world. At that time, country music was very much a male-dominated industry, and those boys welcomed her with open arms like she was one of them. She was one of the guys in the industry at the time, and that takes a lot of spirit itself, and certainly would make you a diva, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. Well, I heard that not only did she not only have the best producers, but that she was highly respected with her opinion when it came down to who was going to be on or off the stage at the Opry.
Exactly. Like, she didn't like the Jordanaires. A lot of people don't know that, but she was not a fan of having backup singing on her songs. And she really didn't like the Jordanaires that much. She didn't like it when they were on her songs, and she didn't like performing with them. A lot of people associate them with her, but she actually wasn't, very fond of having them in her performances or on her recordings. She just kind of wanted it to be her.
So she had more, that would definitely, to me, Scott, make it more like a diva stance. I mean,
exactly.
But she had that great, big, huge, commanding voice. And she wasn't that big of a person, was she?
Well, she was a huskier gal, and depending on who she was with, but I've seen TV shows of her, and at times she was standing as tall as some of the men. And so I don't think that she was a small presence really at all, both in her personality and just in her body. I don't think that she was a very small presence. I think you knew that Patsy was around. She had a big laugh. They talk about the big boisterous laugh that she had. You could hear her all over a bar when she started laughing. It cut through any conversation in any room. Mm-hmm. So she was a big personality.
And she sounds like she was one of your most number one favorite people to listen to.
Well, she was a big influence when I was a young girl. I was raised in a home. My mother listened to a lot of country, and she was a fan, and I really identified with her sound and realized right away it was something that I could kind of mimic. And so I listened to her a lot simply because I didn't have the lightness in my voice that a lot of country singers and a lot of singers in general have. A lot of female singers have a very light voice, and they can do a lot of light things and higher register kind of things. And Patsy was kind of in your chest and very barrel, and I identified with that sound and felt that it was something I could mimic. So she was a huge influence on me as a young girl growing up and listening to country music.
Natalie, I got to ask you, this was one of my favorite musicals, and I saw this about 10 years ago. Have you ever gotten a chance to see Always Patsy Cline?
I actually played in Always Patsy Cline.
Do you think it was true to her life?
Well, I actually got to play in Always Patsy Cline. I played Patsy Cline in Always Patsy Cline in 2009 at a local theater here. Yeah, thank you. It was a lot of fun. And it's a very popular show. Of course, we got held over for an extra weekend because there were almost riots to get in to the show. It's so popular. Anywhere it's played, it doesn't really matter who's doing it, but it's so popular. And the thing that I liked about it was they didn't really try to focus too much on what was going on with Patsy, although you did see a lot of her life and hear her songs. But you're more focused on kind of a fictional character that, you know, associated with Patsy and was with Patsy as she was up and coming and got to be friends with her. And so I liked the fact that you got to see how this affected someone who Patsy had touched and what it meant to her. And that was really what was moving because, you know, you were sad with Louise when she got her last letter from Patsy, and she's talking about, you know, hearing about the plane crash and things like that. So you're on the side of Louise as the fan, kind of looking into what Patsy's doing as much as Louise would have saw, because that was before cable television and a lot of publications that were readily available. So she was getting the few tidbits that she would hear on the radio or on TV and the letters that she would get. So, you know, you're kind of hungry for Patsy through it, just like Louise is, and you understand, you know, how hard it was for her to get to hear Patsy and see Patsy and hear from Patsy. And that's what's really beautiful about that show, is hearing Louise's life and how the things that happened with Patsy intermingled with her and affected her.
You know,
it's a great show. I recommend anybody see it anywhere. Just anybody. Go see that anywhere it's playing, and whoever's doing it, it's well worth your money.